Welcome to Turn Academy. This is for the week ending January 31st, 2021. What we have here is a golfer that has a tendency to take a really deep divot, come in real steep. The reason that's happening is because of the swing plane on the way down. Let's play this forward really slow. We just watched it a minute ago. He's staying on the plane okay on the way back. Until about here, then he gets really vertical. And the reason he's getting so vertical is because that right elbow is flying up behind him. Right elbow out there, your leverage is going to be this way. It can't go down. It's got to be to the right. Unless he can learn how to drop the elbow straight down in front of his hip. That's what we're trying to do. We try to drop the right elbow down in front of, or at least alongside of our right hip, or trail hip if you're a left-hander. Let's watch what happens here. The leverage, you see what it does here, how the leverage goes out, down, and steep. That creates a very steep approach to the golf ball. Means you have to be very, very precise. You're going to get a lot of heavy chunks like that one right there, and it's going to be very hard for you to control the flight of the ball. This golfer has a tendency to go to the right. Let's watch in slow motion so you can see what's happening. Not only did this go to the right, but it faded to the right even more. Two things cause it. The initial direction of the ball is the direction of the club face. If we just look at her right hand, we can tell that the club face is going to be wide open to impact because the right hand is so far under the club and the hands are so much higher than they would at setup, causing the droop. You can see the droop in the club shaft right there. So she's overpowering the club a little bit. And then she's going to swing over the top or above the swing plane, causing it to slice. Go back here to the setup, and I'll show you what I'm talking about, the swing plane. If we draw in a line right there, that's the line of the shaft, the setup, and we'd like to see that line. The club head go under that line on the way to the ball, but it's going to come over it. See how it's coming way out over the top and cutting across it. So she's swinging out to the and cuts across it. Therefore, it's going to be a slice and a push. This golfer indicated they had a tendency to pull the ball on his iron shots. Let's play it in slow motion so you can see why. Let's set it up so we know where he's aiming first. He told me he was intending to go down the middle. So his intended target is about out in there someplace. But you can see very easily by his lineup, he's heading out that way somewhere. So in order for him to hit where his target is, he has to pull the ball. Now, he may not know he's aimed to the right, but his brain knows where the ball needs to go. So let's see what happens here. Pretty smooth takeaway. Arm separating a little bit. And yep, lo and behold, he did pull it. The problem is you don't always know how much to pull it. And what we want to do is we got to understand the ball goes the direction it goes because the face of the club is pointing that way. We need to know exactly where we want it to go, and we need to set up in a way that's more parallel to that, and then we'll be better. This is a relatively new golfer. He's coming along a long ways, but he still has a tendency to lift the club or manipulate the club with his hands rather than just turning back. Watch the hands lift. See how he's lifting the club off the ground? And then he cuts across it. If we go back it up a little bit, you can see that it's cutting across rather than swinging out. See how far above the swing plane he is coming through? So the club's going to go off to the right. We just get him to learn how to route the club. More of a path like, whoops, I didn't mean to do that. Well, that would even be good, but let's do it this way. I want to see it route the head of the club that way. Drop the club in behind you on the way down. Okay, do you see the yellow line on the right? That's the angle the arms hang down and the club shaft should be on. It's called 144 degrees. What you see here is she has a tendency to have the hands and the arm on a straight line too low. Now, if you're going to be on a straight line, you want that straight line to be from the shoulder to the golf ball, not where it is there. So what she does is she puts her in a power robbing situation where the club gets stuck. There's no rotation of the club at all. And she comes back down, she's kind of slapping at it. She manages to hit it there pretty good. You can see she's hitting it way in on the heel. See that? In on the heel. Doesn't go very far. We can just get her hands to be down. And I'll draw this 144 in again. I'll draw it right where the hand should be. How much lower the hands need to be? It's only a couple inches, but it makes all the difference in the world. So the club will work like it's intended to work. This golfer has what we call a rounded shoulder setup. Let's watch it in slow motion. It's real steep. The club shaft comes in right behind his head. You see right there, it's right behind his head. We need to get him to swing on a plane that's more efficient. In order to do that, he's got to change his posture. He's got to get on a setup that's closer to something like this, about 30 degrees. So his head is up in a straight line. Then his hands can hang a little lower and he can be more efficient. Then he's going to be able to swing the club on the swing plane, which is this way. Now, he can't do it now because his posture's in. His spine won't let him, because he's got to lift the club way up off the ground, so way above the swing plane, comes down, chopping on it, catches it thin, and a slow, easy shot off to the right. Let's watch this swing in slow motion. Nice posture, staying pretty steady, turning a little flat, which is causing her to come over the top. Now, what I mean by flat is what the shoulders do. The shoulders need to turn on the same plane as the golf shaft, so that's this line here. Now, we see as we take the club back, shoulders turning well above that. See the lead shoulder really up high. That means she's getting in a stuck position. The club is real low. The hands should be up on that blue line. They can't even get there because of that. So we're going to have to work on that so she doesn't have to come over the top and hit those bad shots. See how low she's finishing? That's because the shoulders aren't turning. Let's watch this swing in slow motion. What you see here is what a lot of golfers do, and that's that push off to the right. And the reason they go to the right is because the swing plane is so steep on the way back. See how steep it is? That club should be way back behind him. He gets really high, lifts the club off, and then he has to come across it. We got to get him to put the swing more on the plane. That's the red line. Let's watch this in slow motion, see what you see. What I notice is a tendency to be a little bit flat-footed, much of a top-down swing. That's usually the case when somebody's tight. The other thing I notice is how far out on the toe he has the ball set up, and then when he swings, he's almost past the ball at impact. See where he is? So he's moved the head of the club several inches out. Look how far from the outside over the top he's coming with that swing. We got to get him. Let's watch it again. Go back and put it in slow motion. This golfer said he was having trouble transferring his weight to the lead side. Let's watch this. We did a couple of little drills. Step through drill. Now, it almost looks like he's transferring his weight, doesn't it? Well, let's see what really happens. What we're going to do is we're going to draw in what's called the power line. That's the line that runs from the ear, make sure it's in a straight line, runs from about the side of the head down this. On the backswing, the lead hip should actually go outside that line, and we can see he's going to go inside that line. So he's stuck now. does a bump, but then he can't rotate solidly onto that line. What we want him to do is we want him to be there on the takeaway, not there. We don't sway our centerpiece. If we drew a line, see where he is now, he doesn't really drive into that lead side. That's a big improvement on what he was doing when he first got here. But we just want to keep the center stationary. I'm not sure how better way to say that. There's got to be a way to say that. The center is what we turn on. That's that line right there. You can see that his center moves. So our axle is moving. We don't want that. We want that axle to stay where it is and just let it turn on that axle. Let's watch Al in slow motion. Al is what I call a point and shoot golfer. The idea is to hit it where you want it to go. Obviously he's good at that. His problem is occasionally he has a tendency to swing everything from the top down. You can see how far he swung through this club, and we're not getting any lower body rotation at all. That's why he isn't as far as he needs to be in some cases. But what's nice is that he's always online. We can just get a little bit more action. I don't think we're going to do that as long as he's standing up with his legs. His head doesn't move up too much. You see a little bit of lifting in his lower back. See how it's coming up a little bit right there? That's the left knee straightening up. Instead of the left knee going out over the left toes, he straightens it up and posts on it a little early. We have two swings here, done one swing apart. Let's just watch in slow motion, see if you can spot the difference. What did you see other than the ball flight wasn't very good on the one on the left? You didn't even want to stay and look at it. The big thing is watch the turn. Look good, she's driving into this shot. Her hands are up where they belong. Right shoulder's coming through. A lot of hip in. Notice how far she's rotated. And we're not talking about a huge difference here between a good shot and a bad shot. Just a little bit of a difference. So the hands now are back where they belong. She's going to finish without the elbow pulling in so low. She's going to finish up higher, wrap the club around her. Much better swing. The difference between a good swing and a bad swing is only measured in what the ball does, and we can see what the ball does in these two shots. It's going, and the other one's not very good. This golfer is also a musician, so when we talked about rhythm and tempo, he picked that up right away. Let's watch it in slow motion. Smooth. What we're going to have him work on is the action of the trail leg. At this point here, we need to start moving the right knee to the left knee instead of to the golf ball and squatting. What he's doing is he's pivoting on the right foot. See that pivot? It turns out he's a baseball player, and that's the old squash the bug thing that we do in baseball. We don't do that in golf. What we want to do is transfer our weight to the front side.